What can you tell us about Colin Murphy and your memories of him?
Well, first and foremost, he was a great person. He came into Lincoln City Football Club whilst I was playing there in my formative years. Absolutely massive influence on my career. I'm sure without his knowledge, his background, his coaching, I wouldn't have done what I achieved in football. So a big massive thank you to Colin. Real popular guy, real enigmatic person. Off the wall at times, a bit crazy, but he had a real deep passion for Lincoln City and for football in itself.
You sort of just touched on it there, but what sort of influence did he have on you in your career?
Yeah, great. He was the manager who sold me to Newcastle, gave me an opportunity to play at a massive club, which I'm very thankful for. Never worked out for me, but I know he was very influential. When Bobby Houghton was manager and Roy Hodgson was manager at Bristol City, I spoke to them. Then I got a move from Newcastle to Bristol City because their connection, they had a bit of togetherness. Bobby Houghton, Roy Hodgson and Colin Murphy, and that's how good his contacts were. So overall he had a big influence on my career, and it's such a sad day, and it's great to see everyone turn out today.
And what was he like away from the game?
Well, away from the game, he became assistant manager at Luton with David Pleat whilst I was a player there, yeah, and we had a connection. We made a connection. We knew each other very well. He was very diligent in his role as assistant manager and the manager. Away from football, he was very enigmatic, very energetic, full of life, a great person, great fun to be around, and just a good all-round manager and just a good all-round guy.
And he has a fantastic legacy behind, doesn't he?
Absolutely, his legacy is unbelievable. To manage the champions of England, Derby County, and manage the clubs he did, and to manage Lincoln City and other clubs, be at Luton Town when I was there, assistant manager, and then to spread his wings and go to Indonesia and manage out in all parts of Wales and experience those the times abroad and coming back. And he worked all his life in football, and deservedly so, and he's going to be a big loss to Lincoln City people and the whole world of football.
And the turnout today says a lot about him and who he was as a person, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, it's great to see the old faces. Obviously not such a great time to get together, but there'll be a massive turnout from today. All the old players who especially play within Lincoln, and it's a magnificent honour that Colin was having his funeral in Lincoln Cathedral, which is a great honour for himself and his family, and fully deserved that the town and the council allowed him to have his funeral here. So we're really proud of Colin, what he did in football, and he's going to be a big miss to all of us. I used to come to Lincoln City games over the past 2 years, and I used to sit with him and speak to him. Still had great knowledge, still had a great enthusiasm for the game.
First and foremost, just a very nice man. Always had time for a chat with you, and yeah, he bought me when I was playing non-league football at Welling. Brought me to Southend United. Peter Taddeo was the manager. I've just literally spoke to Peter there about memories about Colin, and Colin used to come and watch me at Welling, probably for 12, 15 games, and eventually signed me. I went to Southend and got to know Colin reasonably well over the kind of that season that I was there and signed. So yeah, just a wonderful man, a football man through and through. But yeah, just his anecdotes, the way he used to say things just used to make me laugh. But there was always a point to them. Yeah, just a really good man.
My memories about Colin Murphy was, one, always keeping you waiting, insisting that you were there for an interview at 12 o'clock, complete in the knowledge that you would never be spoken till 1:30 at the very earliest, and he knew it and you knew it, and he knew that you knew it, but you still had to make sure you were there at 12 o'clock, because if you weren't there at 12 o'clock, he'd say you weren't there on time, and therefore he wasn't going to talk to you anyway. So it was like it was like boxers sparring. But and I think actually, without being silly, I think his experience at Derby County meant he had a slight distrust of the media, which it was quite hard to get over, and it took a lot of work to kind of get him on board. And I think, but once you'd got him on board, he was unfailingly helpful. he gave great copy, as you would say, and he was just charming. I mean, there were a number of, I remember, especially after some evening matches, and the players and he would disappear off to a place called the Barge on the Brayford Wharf. We had some great nights there. So it's memories like that, and actually seeing a lot of the players from that era here today really does bring back the memories of very, very happy times, and he was at the centre of all those.
And he had some fantastic quotes along the way, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, some of the quotes have been oft quoted. I mean, I actually brought up a couple of his programme notes today, which I'm sure, we're going off to the pub now, I'm sure a lot of people will read and just burst out laughing. I mean, my favourite one, because it's an easy one to tell, was a guy called John Fashion, who was playing for Lincoln, and I'd asked him what he'd made of his debut the previous week, and he'd said, well, he said he's a very mercurial player. He was good. Sometimes he was good, sometimes he was bad, but he looked good. He looked good throughout the whole game. So I would describe his performance as sarcurial. I just thought that was it typified Colin, and he often had a dictionary on his desk, and he'd just say, and you knew he was going to come out with some ridiculous word during the interview, and when he came out with it, he just looked at you and just grinned, as though he knew and you knew that he knew that was the word that he'd been desperate to get into the interview, irrespective of what question you asked. Even if it had no relevance to the question at all, he was going to get it in, come what may. And it was just great fun. I mean, I genuinely, of all the people I've met in sport, he's right up there as people who I have the fondest memories of. Really is.
And what is your lasting memory of the man?
My lasting memory of Colin, I don't say it as being in Lincoln, that impish grin. I mean, it just was that. Yeah, I can't really. I'm not really finding the words to describe it. It just had that wonderfully. It was a mixture of charm, a bit daredevil, a bit. You don't know what's going on here, and just a love of life at the same time. It embodied so many things, and it was just a sort of slantish kind of grin. That it was just when I in the cathedral just now, and I was looking at all the pictures in the order of service. All the while, I could see that his mouth just slightly half open with that, as I say, that impish grin, and thought, that's Colin. That's my memory of Colin.
And the turnout today for him was fantastic, wasn't it?
It was great. I think you get a decent team out. Have we got a goalkeeper? I'm not sure. There may well be. I haven't seen somebody yet, but it's a pretty handy team that could still trouble a few sides in the league, I think.
And it says a lot about him, doesn't he, with some of the names and faces here today?
It does, and also a lot of people from the managerial world as well. I think. I mean, listen. I think a lot of people think that he got quite a raw deal at a couple of the clubs that he managed, and he could have gone on to achieve more at clubs higher up the tree, but it just didn't happen. You know, football. I'm not sure football management has ever been a meritocracy. You know, there's a lot of luck and who you're associated with and who you're partnership with and all that sort of stuff. But you know, you talk to the players who he managed, and they have an immense bond to him. And you don't get that if you don't do the job properly, as a coach, but also as a man manager.
I tell you, I was already at the club, so he didn't bring me to the club. Graham Taylor brought me to the club in '76, and a few changes. When Graham left, George took over, George Kerr, and then Willie Bell, and then it needed the club to get back to how it was with Graham and George, and Colin certainly did that. He came in. Brought some players in from non-league that we'd never heard of, didn't know anything about, but he, as you heard in there, he did have this eye for a player, and all of a sudden we got going. Unfortunately, he did sell me. He got me going probably too well and sold me on. I didn't do very well at Swindon, and 20 months later I couldn't wait. We met up. Swindon were away in Magaluf. Lincoln City were away in Magaluf at the end of the season. He said, "Do you fancy coming back?" And I said, "Yes, get me back as quick as." And he did, got me career going again, and off I went again. So nothing but respect for the man, and always be grateful for getting me back and getting my game back on track. But you know, and all the lads that have turned up today have we've all said the same. And he was just a brilliant football person.
And he had a monumental impact on Lincoln City and the city as a whole, didn't it?
Yeah, and you know, He did, and I was thinking about it in there. He had this link with the club and with the fans. But you know what he always did, and I've got this in my head, and because maybe I'm a family man as well, he never once ever didn't mention Ben and Lucy. They were always mentioned every day. I remember Ben and Lucy being mentioned all the time, and obviously Judith was at the game. So as much as he was a football man, he was certainly a family man, because I just remember Ben and Lucy in my head all the time.
And it was a lovely tribute in there today, wasn't it?
Oh my God, it was so good, absolutely so good. But you know, I didn't expect anything different, because everybody thought the world of him. Us lads certainly did, and lads after me have been the same, as you can see by the turnout. So yeah, terrific man, terrific.
And what's your lasting memory of Murph going to be?
For saving my career, sounds a bit personal, a bit selfish, but he saved my career.
Oh, many memories of Colin Murphy. I first joined Colin Murphy in November of 1982 when I was playing for Blackpool and he signed me for Lincoln City. And when I sat in his office for 5 minutes, he kind of captivated me with his talking and his passion for football, his enthusiasm, his plans for Lincoln City. And I thought, I've got to sign for this man. I want to play for this man. And so, as I said in my speech there, 40 years of friendship from that day on, and I never thought that would be the case, but I'm so pleased that I had 40 years of friendship with Colin.
And it was fantastic tributes there today, weren't there?
Yeah, he deserved them. I mean, what a fitting place for Colin, Lincoln Cathedral, in front of 400-500 people. I thought it was absolutely so fitting for him. A wonderful service.
And what are you going to miss most about Murph?
Oh, Murph, I'll miss his loyal friendship, I'll miss his sense of humour, I'll miss his enthusiasm for the game of football. Even though he's the age that he was and he wasn't in good health, he still had a terrific attitude for the football and a terrific appetite to watch the games, and I shall miss all that about him.
And in terms of Lincoln City, he left a fantastic legacy behind him, didn't he?
He did, you know, he did so well for Lincoln City, and in particular the Vauxhall Conference season. That was just epic, it really was, and not many people could have done that apart from Colin Murphy.
Well, he was a fantastic assistant manager. He was a fantastic friend, somebody that you could totally trust. He knew everybody. He's got brilliant contacts, and so he'd always find you a player. And he was always wanting to find you a player, and he was always willing to be out there on a cold night to go and watch a non-league player to then push him into the league. And so he was a tremendous help, but he was just such an honest man, and he would tell me if he thinks I'm doing things wrong as well, and that's what you need from an assistant at times.
You just mentioned there, obviously, he was a fantastic assistant. What was he like as a person, away from the game?
Away from the game, well, he, to be fair, he was football mad, which we all are and all were. So you know, he's always very, very good company. He was you know, enjoyable to be with. You wouldn't mind waking up every morning and you know you're going into training and knowing Colin's going to be there, because there's a fair chance he's got a story to tell you. And so you know, he was terrific company. As I say, a loyal man, and football will miss him, and you know, hopefully he's going to have a really, really good day today.
Lots of memories, lots of good memories. Pretty unique characters. We all know. Ultimate football man. Loved the game, studied the game. Was fearsome at times as players. You respected him. A little bit of fear there, but got to know him in later years, and he was a lovely man, gentleman. Just a real sad loss to the game, and one that we shall miss. Visits to Sincilbank or the LNER Stadium now will never be the same again.
And what did he do for your career personally?
He got me back on track, really. My career, I was probably going nowhere at Leicester City. He took me on loan, played me, trusted me as a 18, 19-year-old, and gave me the chance to play more first team football and establish yourself in the game, and got a lot of debt to him.
And as a fellow Lincoln City Hall of Famer, what impact and what legacy is he left on the club?
I think what he did when he was managing the second time round was to get relegated and to get he didn't take the club down, but to bounce back first time from the conference was a remarkable achievement, and not many teams that go down come straight back up, and the way that he got a team together to work together and to be united, and good on in Lincoln City folklore. He's an absolute legend of the game.
And what will you miss about him most?
Just to chat with him. We had a chat, you know, he's always to chat about it, not necessarily about football. We were mainly about football, but we'd speak cricket, we'd speak all sports, and he's just a nice man, just a nice man to see around the place. And always had a laugh, always a smile on his face, and could say things that whenever you see him, it was, I can't repeat it on camera, what he would say to me, but he was always smile, always happy, and he's a loss to us all.
Yeah, unfortunately I kind of missed him on a footballing side. Always remember him scouting, but the main thing for me was just his personality, how he'd light up a room, his knowledge of every footballer that there ever was, who ever played for Lincoln or who was ever out there. He was just a life and soul all the time. So sorely missed, big character. That's all I can say really.
Well, he brought me into the professional game. I was at Boston United, and he was rebuilding the team. And he signed Trevor Peake, Tony Cunningham, myself, brought us from non-league football. And really, he was a mentor, both in playing football and when I went into management later.
And obviously, yeah, you worked with him in a professional capacity. What was he like away from the game?
He was football mad. He liked his cricket, didn't play golf, but loved his cricket. Not a gambling man at all. Just, as I said, just loved the football side of it. Signing players, he liked that, managing players. I was his assistant at Notts County, which was an education. And just a one-off character. I mean, just his own persona.
And there's a fantastic legacy that he leaves behind, doesn't he, in the game?
Yeah, I mean, the team that he brought to Lincoln. I think 9 or 10 of us all played in the first division, as it was, the Premier League, which was a testimony to him. He had to build a team, obviously, that Graham Taylor had took so far and dismantled. So, and then coming back and getting him out of the non-league. You know, he deserves everything and the accolades that he gets.
And what will you miss about him most?
Just his company and speaking to him, you know. Always had a smile on his face, always had a quip. As I said, a mentor, a lot of common sense, a lot of intelligence there, and just miss him as a person.